Welcome to the PTTS. Today's date is March 23rd, 2023, Thursday. My name is Nang Hong Lam. So, today is the house inspection day, which because of could be the daylight saving, because the timer, like my watches, I set was an hour behind. So when I woke up at 7 o'clock, it was already supposed to be the appointment's at 8 o'clock. So when I woke up at 7, it was already around 8 o'clock. So my biological mother was groaning at me to tell me to hurry because it's almost 8 o'clock. And around 8 o'clock, because I woke up, and I thought it was 7 because I looked at my watch. The time I said it was 7, so she was groaning at me, told me to hurry up and everything. So it was just. So anyway, as I was just hurrying along, trying to pack some of the thing with me, so because I'm gonna be, so kind of like in a way, as I was leaving the house, there's someone, I don't know if it was the house inspector or not. This time, because last time, I remember there was one time I talked with one of the house inspector named Alex, so that was one time, but someone called me, and as I was hurrying out the house, I just they'd say good morning, and then I just say good morning back, and then I hurry out the house, so I didn't really say anything this time. I didn't took a look or anything. I didn't look back as I was hurrying. So anyway, so that's the house inspection, and I talked with my biological mother, talking to her about it. She said there will be another house inspection, so she didn't tell me the date yet. So anyway, so basically that's not the reason I make this video. It's just from the video that I kind of in a way, I did a rehearsal video, which on this one, not really like a rehearsal, it's just something that I needed to say immediately. It was just really bothering me, I was kind of in a way pinching myself, and was just very bothered by that thought. It was just that whole thought that, what if, kind of the reason behind, parents who early on, the day the children was born, sign them up as underdog, versus children who have all their achievement become all the disappointments in their life. Kind of in the way, when you look at it, it seems like the children whose all their achievement get turned to become disappointment, which seems in a very a more kind of in a way it makes sense that way, why the parents signed the children up to be underdog when the moment they were born and things like that, because of those situations. So that's why I was kind of in a way I didn't really want to go through with that whole verses, because I felt that's the reason I was in pain. I felt I was in pain. Just didn't, the thoughts of it, it's just very kind of both situations. It's just very, and then especially because I felt I am caught in that significant versus insignificant argument. It's kind of in a way, it's just, if it's just very kind of a cheesy rip-off comedy, you get some kind of money, you go stand up, do some cheesy, even you get boo and everything, the stage manager would give you some kind of income for that. It's just people throw tomato at you, boo at you, but you still get some kind of income, It's just kind of in a way, it's cheesy rip-off comedy that kind of in a way you still get something out of it, some kind of a way to I felt that. So it's just this painful thought, both sides, kind of in a way, I'm going through this whole very painful argument. Like it felt like it's just very degenerate, like kind of like in a way with very, it's a controversy argument that have a lot of conflict involved, and it's just like, so kind of like I'm going through all of this, and then I'm just gonna get caught in the whole significant versus insignificant argument. It's just like, when are you gonna learn these, how, and you call yourself a college student, you can't even get through this whole concept, this whole simple concept argument. It's like, and I felt like, okay, I've I know the day I took college class, I knew this kind of argument would bring up, at college level, kind of like in a way, try to keep, just make some kind of logic about being a college student, the reason behind it, why you took those college classes and everything, kind of like in a way, it's just like, how can you not even understand about significant versus insignificant, and you're call yourself a college student and things like that. It's like, so anyway, I really I didn't want to go through with that. So basically that's the video. I told myself, kind of like in the video, I just said I didn't want to go through with it. It's just like, it's kind of like a very controversy argument and having a lot of conflict, and all those conflicts could affect my life too because of situations. Kind of like in a way, I wasn't supposed to go into those kind of arguments. It's just like, take care of yourself first, like, are you in a very good situation? Why deal with those kind of arguments? Kind of like in a way, I wasn't, kind of like, take care of yourself first, like, how wasn't, not that, kind of like in a way, like I've been making all these arguments about, having some kind of support in my life would really benefit my situation and things like that, and then why go through all this trouble to get into arguments that will have a lot of conflicts in my life and things like that. It's just like, and at the same time, you don't understand, and you can't even, how about the significant versus insignificant and things like that. So kind of like in a way I stopped at that video. I just didn't want to go through with it. It's just that whole argument would have a lot of conflict. So kind of like in a way I want to deny it, like, deny that thought I have by just saying that maybe I should take some kind of blame, in a way that could blame myself that harsh enough to just drown away that thoughts. Kind of like in a way, I just want to, and then at the same time, it's just been trying to get support for all those years of time. Some support would benefit my situation, and it's like, so kind of like I just stopped at that, and then kind of like I just stopped at the video on this CX-12 and just went like walk around my neighborhood, like asking all the neighbors I come upon, like, just like if they have like a minute to do like a quick survey and things like that. So okay, talk with about like around like all the neighbors. So kind of like some neighbor that I come upon, like there was one lady who kind of like went through with the survey with me. So kind of there was one, and I met about like maybe 10 different neighbors, and there was that one lady that was kind of like in a way she went through with the survey. So there was that one lady. So anyway, well, it just so far there was that one lady. So it just, I haven't really got. Usually the neighbor would say that, and I'm not jinxing myself or anything. I'm not jinxing that lady. I'm not jinxing myself or anything. That's just how it happened. Kind of like in a way, that's the evidence. If you want to make argument, then have some kind of evidence and come to me and state your point. If your argument is just very off and everything, I'll be considerate about it. At least you take that step. Kind of like in a way, I just felt that there has been a lot of conflict in my life, and I kind of like in a way, even though people who wanted to make arguments against me, I might not like it, but at least I know who is trying to make arguments against me and things like that. It's just like, I might not like you because you try to make arguments against me, but I'll take considerations, at least I know who is behind it and things like that. It's like, okay, so I'm not, okay, alright, someone's gonna argue, that, maybe argue that, maybe that one lady took that step, or maybe she's intended or unintended, or maybe someone set her up to be like the most evilest person in this neighbor and things like that, and like and set me up to make her feel like she is the only person who went through the survey with me. Just like, look at how degenerated I am. Like the most evilest person, and I say that would go through the survey with me, and kind of like in a way, it's just like, that's why I deserve these kind of conflict in my life, because I'm so stupid in the head, it's just like, kind of like in a way, it's just like, the most evilest person, and I say, trying to give her some credit for going through the survey with me and things like that. It's just like, it's like, so I just don't want to. I just want to avoid these kind of arguments. That's just what happened. I walked around my neighborhood. There was one lady who went through the survey with me. That's what happened. And I am not intended for those kind of arguments to happen. The most evilest person, and I'm giving that most evilest person some kind of credit. I don't intend it for those kind of arguments to happen. I'm just pointing out what happened that day. It was just very bad. Felt like it's just that very painful thought that I have, that I just couldn't deny away that thought, and just walk around my neighborhood and doing some survey. And then there was one lady who went through the survey with me. So I pointed that out because that's the fact. That's what happened. I am not intended for that situation to happen. Like I give the most evilest person some kind of credit. I am not intended those kind of arguments to happen. I'm just pointing out the fact of what happened that day. Okay, so just move on. So that's what happened that day. That's exactly what happened that day. Just walk around my neighborhood, did some survey, came upon about like 10 different neighbors. There was one lady. The other neighbor would say that they don't have time to go through the surveys with me, and there was that one lady that went through the survey with me. So that was what happened. So I am not intended for any kind of complications of, I'm giving the most evilest person some kind of credit, these sort of arguments to happen. That's just, so basically just clarify that's just what happened. So happened there's just one person willing to go through the survey with me and things like that.